Well, good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm glad you're out this morning. It's a beautiful morning, and it's even made more beautiful because you all are right here with us as we tackle a problem, I think, that is becoming more and more pervasive and needs some action. A few months ago, we came together a number of organizations to look for ways to stem some of the violence that's going on in our neighborhood, specifically around black on black violence. Now, we march all the time against police on black men and others, but in reality, if you look at the write-up I did, 85 to 90% of the crime committed in the black neighborhoods are done by black people, and that ought to outrage us. And so we thought that we would have a time set apart where we could come together and deal with that subject. And so this is the culmination of all those months of planning, and that's why we're excited to see you out this morning. Yesterday we had a march throughout the community of Mantua, and it was a wonderful march. We had a number of people out, and we marched throughout, and we didn't think that we would solve the problem, but at least we could raise awareness of the problem. And so today, with all of these distinguished panelists, we expect that we're going to hear some dynamic and helpful ways in how we can stem the violence. So thank you for being here, and thank all of those panelists and also all those community leaders and organizations that have become a part of this. Bless you. Well, I have to turn this over to Sister Marvetta, and she will come now. Are you going to come to prayer? Oh, prayer. Okay. Let's pray. God, we thank you for this day. We thank you, Lord, for what this gathering of people means. Lord, this is the beginning of what we hope is the turning of the tide. And so, God, we ask your blessings on these efforts, these panelists. We thank you for them. We thank you for all the planners. And thank you for these people. And God, might we hear something and we change our communities for the better. Bless now, God, in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Marvetta Coleman, and I am one of the chairs of the Social Action Committee for the Philadelphia Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma. We are one of the partnering organizations for this morning's forum, as well as for the entirety of the Women's event. I want to echo Reverend McNeil's welcome and thank you so much. There's always a double side to things, and we don't want it to rain because people won't come. We want it to be sunshiny, but not too sunshiny because people won't come. So we want to really acknowledge you all for coming. So let's start to say all right. Special thanks to our panelists because many of you know, in fact all of us should recognize at least one or more of them from some area of the work that they do, whether in the community, in conjunction with their professional work, in conjunction with their advocacy work, or any number of places that they may be walking in this journey that we see them. They have many, many demands on their schedule. This room should be overflowing, and it is, because you're here. So you are making it overflow. I want to give a special thanks to them now for taking time out of their schedule to be here with us this morning. Reverend McNeil started this fire and this thought about the issues that are going on around violence, and we know that this is not isolated. It is not only in Mantua, it is not only in Philadelphia for that matter, but we are in Mantua, we are in Philadelphia. We need to be committed to finding ways to eradicate, to diminish, to contain, to address. So today's conversation, and that's what it is, going to be a conversation. So please make sure that you plan to be a part of it, is the one that we want to use to create the framework and to lay the groundwork and to launch the additional discussion that will be taking place. So don't feel that your presence here today is an ad hoc presence or that it should be your only voice, because it's only when the many voices come together that we then collectively can help make a difference. I'm going to bring up our fantastic moderator. We know her because of her history here in Philadelphia and in the region, and I'm sure on some other levels, but that's my knowledge of her. Thera Martin Millie. When I met her, she was Thera Martin. But Thera Martin Millie has left her footprint all around this area. She has been present in print. She has been present as a voice on the radio. She is present right now with the Allegheny West Foundation, amongst the many other things that she is doing. And I was thrilled when I contacted her, and she said, oh, yeah, I can do that. So I just want to thank you, Thera, for being here with us this morning. And she is certainly going to have her responsibilities, I'm not going to call it work, responsibilities cut out to her this morning. But as you hear from our panelists, be thinking about questions you may have, comments you may have, ways that you can come into this process and help to make the difference. Thank you very much, and Thera Martin Millie will be the next one.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's wonderful to see everybody here today, and I thank my sister Marvetta Coleman for those very kind words. It's so good to see each and every one of you here today. And while I love you and respect you and admire you so much, and we go way back. We go way, way back to the days of 1199C. I really was drawn because of Pastor McNeil. When he first told me about what he was planning to do, and not what just he was planning to do, but this coalition of people that came together around this issue were planning to do, I was like, yep, I'm on board. We want to get you on the radio. We came out and did the radio program, and I know that the radio station where I work is only one station. We need to have it on all the stations. We need it on all the TV stations, the radio stations, and in the print media. We wanted this lasted out to the world that this was happening today. But Pastor McNeil sold it on it. The first time he mentioned it to me, before he even put a flyer in my hand or had one emailed to me. So we applaud you again, Pastor, for the vision and for putting it Having said that, and also acknowledging the fact that we're a little behind schedule, not because we were not ready, but we were just waiting for more of our guests, all of you, to arrive. So now we want to be mindful of the time so that we can make as much use out of these wonderful panelists as possible, and also be able to hear from the audience and have you participate in the dialogue. So we will move forward. First, let me just say that when each of the panelists introduce themselves and speak from their heart about the work that they're doing on this issue of violence and their perspective on it in about 2 to 3 minutes, no longer than 3 minutes, so that we can keep things going and flowing. So we'll go down the table and each one will do that. And then after we have an opening statement of 2 to 3 minutes for each of the panelists, we'll come back and get into our discussion about stopping the violence in Mantua. And how do we get there? How do we do it? How do we meet with success? And then, once we get through that, we will go forward to have audience question and answer and really get you involved in this process. And we expect it to be very dynamic. And we do have a timekeeper panelist, so she's going to keep us straight right here. And when she puts up the 1 minute sign, then we laugh. And that will tell you it's time to start wrapping it up. Okay? And we do want to acknowledge one of our elected officials from the city who is certainly a key part of this community, has been working and laboring for over 50 years in the city of Philadelphia, making a difference never getting tired, never giving up, never being discouraged. Our own Honorable City Councilwoman Jannie Blackwell. She is working hard. And her speakers too. Go ahead, Councilwoman.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As always, let me first thank God for the honor and privilege of being here with all of you today. I know half of you in the audience and all of the panelists, and I'm always sorry that I can't stay. I'm also running a wellness workshop at the Life Center, 46 and Chestnut. That also is at 10 o'clock. But I wanted to wait to say thank you all, especially these panelists, for their participation. I'm only sorry that I'm just vibrant discussion, and somebody has to fill me in after this, and we look forward to working with you on all things. So thank you all. Have a great morning, and God bless.
This presentation is being recorded on video, so there will be documentation after the fact. People will need to follow up on that. You can talk to Pastor McNeil. And now let's start on my far right, which would be the audience's left, with our first panelist, Drummond from the Mantua Civic Association. Good morning to you.
Good morning. I just want to welcome you all to Mantua and also welcome you to the Promise Zone also. My name is Drummond. I am the president of the Mantua Civic Association. I am 35 years old. One motto of Mantua residents is plan or be planned for. 3 years ago, I saw a plan being created by community residents. Some of the priorities was create a civic association, education, and safety. That's why we're here this morning, because we have an issue in Mantua when it comes down to safety, crime, violence. This is the time to just stand up and do something about it. Stop taking wooden nickels. I'm tired of the splinters. I'm tired of the hurt, and I'm tired of the pain. This is a time for change. This is a time for peace. This is a time for unity in our community. It's a time for structure. It is a time for change. And I thank God that you all showed up this morning. And I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Drummond. Thank you. And now we're going to hear from Maurice Johnson. He is with the People's Emergency Center. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Maurice Johnson. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for coming out this morning. I work with the People's Emergency Center. It's located in 30 Metropolitan. It focuses on getting information to the people in the Promise Zone about the many programs, organizations that are here to help benefit you. Outside of that, I work for a nonprofit also, the Urban Village, which focuses on positive outreach in the community through the arts. We're still new, up and coming. Website's up, usual.com. Come check us out. And what brought me out here today, is I'm not a resident of this area out here in Mantua or anything like that, but working in the People's Emergency Center, seeing the great change that all the panelists up here and other members of the community and leaders of the community have done to take an effort to stand to say that, yes, the violence is here, but we're not going to accept this. We're not going to stand for it. Many people have faced loss, and in that loss, they have not deterred from their path. That is motivated them to step up and step forward, reach out to others and know that, yes, you are hurt, but you're not the only one. The hurt will pass and the healing will come. So I want to thank you all again for coming out today. I hope that you receive some information that you find useful, and I hope that we can all learn from each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Maurice. We have from the Philadelphia Police Department with us, and I'm talking about none other than Inspector Verdele Johnson, Southwest Police Division. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. How are you? Good morning. Like she said, I'm Inspector Verdele Johnson. A lot of people don't know what an inspector is. You know, the district captains, everybody know that. Well, what an inspector is, I'm in charge of the 16th district, which is where Mantua is, the 18th, the 19th, and the 12th district, all of Southwest and West Philadelphia. So I wanted to say, there's a lot of good things going on in Mantua. Let me start by saying My great-grandmother lived 3900 Ashton, so she left this earth in 1988. So up until 1988, I was raised at 3900 Ashton. So I'm from this area. There's some great things going on in Mantua. You not know, like 5 years ago, there were 16 homicides in the 16th district, and that's a small district. In 2013, we had 5 homicides, which, let me just say, 1 is too many. But in 2013, we had 5. 2014, we had 6. We had 0 in Mantua in 2014. I want you to know there's some great things going on. Currently, this year, we have 2 homicides in the 16th district, and 1 is in Mantua, which is unsolved. It happened 3700 block of Aspen. So if you know anything about that, there's a lot of ways to let us know.
That's right.
We need to get that killer off the street. And that young man was, from what I understand, he was a decent young man.
Absolutely.
That's what I hear. It happened back in February. So if you know anything about that, please help us out. But the police department, we want to work hand in hand with you. As long as we keep having things like this, we got a community event here on Tuesday at 6 o'clock. I'll be heading that, so if you can come out, Tuesday, 6 o'clock, I'll be there. We want to keep working at these numbers. We want to get them down to 0. And with that, I thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you. Watched her morph into this awesome leader who is not just recognized locally but nationally because of the work she's done, the success that she has met with, and the women who work with her in the organization that everybody says they don't really want to be a member of because it's Mothers in Charge, a group that almost every member is someone who has lost their child, be that an adult child or a younger child, to violence in the streets of Philadelphia. So without further ado, Dorothy Johnson Speight.
I'm Dorothy Johnson Speight, founder and executive director of Mothers in Charge, which is started in Philadelphia. Next month will actually make 12 years that I started the organization. After the death of my 24-year-old son, colleague Shavar Johnson, who was shot 7 times over a parking space. I wanted to really do something with my pain and my tears and anger and everything that I felt as a result of colleague's death. So Mothers in Charge has been that vehicle. I lead the organization with a bunch of courageous women, most of whom, as Thera said, have lost a son, daughter, or loved one to violence. And every day we are working with families who have had that horrible tragedy experience of having to bury a son, daughter, or loved one. But in addition to supporting those families, we also do a lot of intervention and prevention work. And that's everything from working in the schools with children around anger management and conflict resolution and things like that, as well as going into the prisons. We're actually in 3 Philadelphia prisons, county jails. We teach a program called Thinking for a Change with inmates there. We're there for an extra week, actually. And it's been a very successful program over the last 6 to 7 years. So we do a lot of intervention and prevention work in addition to supporting families who've lost loved ones. I want to just take a quick minute and mention that we are national. We have chapters in New York, LA, San Francisco, Kansas City, Harrisburg. We just started a chapter in York, Pennsylvania. So unfortunately, it's a group that we wish we didn't have to exist, but we do, to support those families and to also address the issue of homicide. In June, after June 6th this year, we are going to be in the Lincoln Memorial Mall to raise the awareness and the consciousness of homicide. We're expecting families to join us on the Lincoln Memorial Mall from all over this country and bringing pictures of their loved ones to raise the consciousness of and the awareness of what homicide is. It is the leading cause of death among African American males 14 to 24. So I have some flyers here. So I'm going to have them up front if you'd like to come up and get them and find out more about how you can join us on the Lincoln Memorial Mall on June 6th. Thank you.
Guest speaker, I know some of you are at least as old as I am, and I'm a grandma. My grandson over here proved it today. They say a leopard doesn't change his spots. Well, this leopard doesn't change his spots. For all of the years I have known this man, he has been committed to this city, committed to being a leader, committed to being an activist, committed to teaching us about having safe neighborhoods, teaching us about organizing block by block, block captain by block captain, town watching, all that good stuff. So he is amazing, and I want to be like him. I don't want to change my spot. What I say I'm about my community and love for my community and and lifting up our children and our young people and making sure that our seniors can say, I'm not changing my spots either. Anthony Murrie.
Good morning. I'm kind of old school. That's why I have to stand to speak to you. I probably was going to stand when we were having interaction. First, I'm blessed to be here. Creator woke me up this morning and said, this is the place he wanted me to be. So that's why I'm here. We develop and organize townwide groups throughout the city of Philadelphia. We provide interventions in schools, develop safe harbors. But I'd like to take a moment and ask Thera Smith to stand up. She works right here in Southwest. She will be organizing our June 13th Bike Ride, which will cover all Southwest Division, 12, 16, 18, and 19. But the most amazing thing is the reason why I'm here is not because of townwide. This is because we say we would have a conversation. I'm on the Mayor's Commission for African American Males. One of the things we've done is started a conversation amongst men. So today, what's really intriguing is starting the conversation. Because if we are to address violence, we have to reach back to our past to a time when there wasn't any, and then bring that forward and put it in place. No mother should bury a son. No father should bury a daughter. No young man should have to know someone incarcerated or who's been shot. And yet all of that exists for us now. So if in this conversation, and what this demonstrates is a partnership, because through Talent Integrated Services, I get to work with all these beautiful people up here and all of the beautiful people out there. We are the reason and the only reason change will come. Thank you.
The journey is long. And I was impressed with her. She's smart young lady. She's going places. And then I heard she was running for judge. And the first time I heard her speak at an event, candidates forum or something, I was sold. I said to myself, I'm voting for this lady. She's going to be a good judge. She's going to be one of those judges that makes a difference. She's going to do the right thing. She's going to be tough. She's going to be hard. She's going to be firm when she needs to be. But also because she is from our community, she's going to have an understanding that perhaps some other judges do not have. And so it is a delight always to see the honorable judge, Timika. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, good. I just want to say thank you again for inviting me here. This is the highlight. A lot of times when I see people, unfortunately, it's after they've been arrested. And since I sit in the major crime unit for the Port of Common Pleas, it has to be a pretty rare crime. So I love it when I can come out to the community and talk to people about what's going on and be very proactive. And one of the things about my job that I love is that I can go out to schools and I go out to different community events and talk to people. And I think it's very important. I don't know if a lot of people realize, I used to be a school teacher, but I didn't realize they stopped teaching civics education. Yeah. So there are a group of us, and we go out. It's the ACE program with the Philadelphia Bar Association, and we go out to schools and we teach civics. Let them know what it is to be a good citizen, because sometimes that's lost in schools today. And I think that's part of the reason why we're here. Again, it's a whole group of issue, but that's important. And I think it's also important that we continue to do these things and they be positive examples in the community. We go out to different churches, and I tell people, my name is Timika. If Timika could be a judge, you could be a judge too. Right. You know, because I never saw a judge growing up. I mean, God willing, my mother, you know, she's a retired police detective now, but she had me around a lot of positive people. But I grew up not that far from here, 42nd and Walusa. So I know this area very well. I used to ride a bike here. My grandma was on that. My whole family was from quote-unquote down the bottom, down the west. You know, my aunt babysitting in the project down the street. I think it's important that we continue to go into communities and remind people that I'm one of you. I came from here, you can too. And I think sometimes we just focus on the negative things and we don't do the encouragement. That's why I like panels like this, that we can come and really just have a good dialogue and communication and come up with some solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. God is good all the time. Now, the last panelist that we have, and we are delighted to present to some and to introduce to others, he was a part of that walk, that march, rally and march last night, which I'm told was very, very well done and went off well. So I thank God for that, as you all went from church to church praying and making a difference and letting folks in this neighborhood who might not be of the same mindset of us in this room about peace and and positivity. I heard they were scattering like roaches in the garden last night. So you already made a difference and had some impact. I'm sure later in the program you'll hear more about what happened at the march last night. Folks like me who missed it. But for now, let me just say that while the march started at Transfiguration Baptist Church last evening, it concluded at Second Antioch Baptist Church, and the pastor of that church welcomed everybody last night as they finished marching and walking and praying and rallying to sort of get some light refreshments and wet their throats and sit down and rest a little bit. He is here this morning and ready to say a few words right now. Reverend Joseth, Knoks, the pastor of Second Antioch Baptist Church. Welcome.
I'm covering for Pastor Cleveland Edwards. So he bailed and left me here in charge. So my job is to make sure I don't see that 1 minute sign. I grew up at 432 North 37th Street, which is around the corner between Spring Garden and Hamilton. So I had the privilege of going to school here, and unfortunately my heart is sad when I see where Walnut Center used to be is torn down, Drew School is torn down. My mom wouldn't let me go to University City, so so I ended up at Overbrook High School. But I'm honored to be here and humbled. I just want to let people know that it's important with all that goes on that we make sure that we do our best to volunteer and make a difference. We can't be part of the whole answer. We can all be a part of this small piece of the answer. So what I try to do with being a pastor and blessed to be a full-time pastor, I volunteer in schools. I make sure that at the end of the school day that I'm out there at a high school, make sure they have a safe dismissal. And I make sure that I go into the prisons and minister those that are in prison. And then also I volunteer in many civic associations. But one of the blessings I have is being president of 16th District Police Chaplain. And we have our captain here. And Captain, please stand up so we can say anything. So do your part. It may not be a lot, but if you can do the best that you can and just make an impact. One of the things that I did before I ended up working in the school district is I volunteered and I took the young people from Beaver Middle School and I took them through the neighborhood and I took them to Drew, I took them to Wellness Center and I took them to Overbrook and I let them know where I went and how I grew up. And when the teacher, counselor told me I wasn't college material, and now I have a master's degree. Okay. You can be what you want to be, but my mother made sure that I didn't hang out in these streets with nothing to do, but I always had somewhere to go.
Amen. Amen. And what a great way to get into the next portion of what we're going to do is to have some dialogue and some discussion here, and then to open it up for questions and answers. And actually, Pastor Knoks, you did what I was going to do next, and that was to acknowledge our captain, Aldenise Love Craighead from the 16th District. We appreciate, respect, and admire her. And interestingly enough, I get a chance to work with her husband because I'm a part of the 39th Police District Advisory Group, and we meet regularly, and I'm always over there at the 39th trying to be supportive of my officers over there. I love them. And when Officer Wilson was murdered, I took it real personal, like it happened on my watch, because I'm also the North 22nd Street Business Quarter Manager in North Philadelphia. I do the WURD thing early in the morning, but I'm out in the street in the community every day, and I am the Business Quarter Manager. And so when Officer Wilson's life was stolen on March 5th, I took it real personal, because it happened right where I walk every day, and I'm still very, very upset about that, very, very upset about that. But I just had to mention that as a sidebar piece. But it is a great opportunity to be able to work with Captain Craighead in the 39th District, and he has a lot of respect in that community. And we totally understand, I totally understand how important it is as a community person to be willing to work with our police as opposed to trying to fight against our police. That's my sister. So anyway, as I was driving here this morning and got closer and closer to the address, and I'm in this neighborhood, I know this neighborhood, right? But it is spring, and you know, the season's changing, the trees are blooming, the flowers are starting to come up, red peeking through the dirt. Mantua looks so clean. As I'm driving, I'm feeling good this morning. I'm like, why am I going to an event about stopping violence in this area? It's so peaceful and beautiful around here. This is great, right? Well, this street is rated maybe right here, but if you go 2 blocks over, I'm told there are some issues. So we have to be aware of that. And we can't also understand that even a neighborhood that looks clean and neat, crime is still going on. And people don't care whether it's daytime or nighttime. If they want to commit a crime, they will do it. So let me just ask my first question, and any panelist who wants to take this question on, go with it. What are some of the root issues in your mind related to violence? In other words, what drives violence? What drives violence in our communities? Anyone want to take that on? Mr. Murrie?
And I'm sure I will only be the first person to take it on. I think there are a number of things that drive violence in the community. The first thing that I look at is a lack of respect for ourselves. A lack of appreciation for who we are and understanding. We can blame economics, but there were times when economically we were still poor and had less and did not create the same sense of violence. We can say that there's lack of job opportunities. There were times when, particularly as a black man, black female, there weren't many opportunities for you anyway, and there was still that violence. So we begin to look at, historically, how we got to where we are, is when our family structure began to deteriorate, when children began to not have respect for the elders. Elders also began not to have respect for themselves. And therefore, we lose the respect for who we are. See, when you don't understand who you are, and lack of knowledge of yourself, you're like a tree without roots. A tree without roots is already dead. So what we have to do is breathe life back in ourselves and teach our children who they are, what they stand for, and how important and valuable they are to the things going into the world. Now, this is not all of it, but this is where I think it starts. Because you should never teach a child to fight, and yet we do that too. And I'm not going to blame it on gangs, but I know they say the gangs have impact on our mindset, because we watched cartoons back in the day, and we didn't let cartoons spur us on. So I think it starts there with knowledge of self and respect for self.
I just want to chime in on that. One of the things I noticed also, we don't have the appropriate conflict resolution skills. We don't know how to settle conflict. One thing that comes into mind is that easy corner bar. Is that 35th and Haverford.
Yep.
Ever good for one homicide every single year.
That was not an easy corner.
What did I just tell you all last year? No homicides out here. That's what bar closed last year. Easy corner, and it's still closed. So when you got these nuisance bars, you don't have the appropriate conflict resolution skills, you add some liquor to that, and boom, here you go. So that's just one example. Like once we got that bar closed, every year, one homicide inside that bar. Closed last year, no homicides in Mantua. Just something to think about.
One of the many boards that I sit on is the Philadelphia Prison Board. And my passion was for the females incarcerated as well as the juveniles. And at one point, I was appointed to the board in 2008, so I've been there for a minute. I would say maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, there was any number of juveniles you could see there on a given night. There was 100 to 150 juveniles incarcerated at the Philadelphia adult facility. This was because they had committed that type of crime when they were adjudicated as an adult. And one of the things that came up and was a current trend and hearing from the young men was that there was no father in their life. So I want to first of all commend the men that are here this morning. And I know there are a lot of men in our community doing positive things, but I think we need more. And I also want to commend the 100 Black Men organization for being here and all the work that you do with young men in the city, across this country actually. I think that we need to see more men involved in our young boys and our young men's life. Women can't teach a boy to be a man. They need that positive guidance from a man. And after talking to a lot of these young men that were housed at the House of Corrections, the thing that was current and common was that they were angry because they did not have a dad in their life. And some of them were willing to admit that, it doesn't matter to me, I don't care, he wasn't in my life, I had my mom. But abandonment issues run deep, especially with young men. It causes anger. And if they feel that no one cares about them, they don't care about anyone else, and we don't hurt kids, we'll hurt others. Thank you.
Thank you all, our panelists, who took on that question. Now, this one I think probably everyone in the room could have an opinion about, but I'm going to go on and ask the question anyway, and maybe a couple of the panelists will give their thoughts. How does the media contribute to distortion of African Americans? Everybody hear that question? How does the media contribute to distortion of African Americans?
I
Okay, correct this question first, if you don't mind.
All right, you leader.
First and foremost, I'm not an avid watcher of the news, simply for the fact that anytime I turn it on, there's no spotlight on anything positive or productive in the African American society. Any time I turn on the news, there's a death, there's a crime, there's a murder. There's no information on, oh, this school just graduation rate increased this year, or such and such received this award, or the types of positive programs that are going on in the led body. There's always something negative. It's never any time we can turn on the news and say, oh man, look at that. Oh, this is right in my day. Who's that? Let me take interest in this. Let me go inquire about this person, see what they're doing. Maybe I can help them motivate. Maybe help them motivate someone else to do something likewise. Personally.
All right.
Mr. Murrie? Oh, yes. First, let me venture back with my young boy movie. Yeah, I don't think he's back. You got it out of work. This event right here will make the news. The activities that going on in this building will make the news. So when the young man says he doesn't watch it because of what they show, it's how they want us to perceive ourselves. So they project to you, you're the danger. You're the problem. If a sister, a mother, a young woman can actually be afraid because a black male approaches her, whether he said anything to her or not, where is that created? It's not just the news media, it's also the movies. It's also the TV. See, so they create the image. And then we have a tendency to act against it too. But it isn't all of us. It's not a majority of us. It's really a small number of us. But they project it, and what we see is all over the news. Doesn't matter what city it is. Down there joining to the police. Man, unarmed black man killed by the cop. Oop. Unarmed black man on the ground, shot with the tape. Oop. All over, all over, all over. So they create the image. We have to create our own image. And that's what this does. That's what that young man is doing. That's what the young man on the end of the table is doing. That's what this man is doing. What this man is doing. And not that these ladies aren't doing it, but the emphasis Dorothy made was, where are the men? Not where, but more men are needed. So we need you to step up, but we also need you to have the conversation with young men that you don't have. See, men don't talk to men. Well, she's right. We talk about sports. We talk about ladies. See, I was trying not to get on the soapbox. What we do, we talk about ladies. We talk about sports, but we don't talk about our health conditions. We don't talk about the trauma in our lives. Dorothy says, hurt children. That's because grown men have never talked about the trauma that they experienced in their lives to a young man to help him alleviate the trauma that he had. See, so we don't share that. And so since we don't have those kind of conversations, it's very difficult then for a positive image of men and us to be produced on the news. It's just not going to happen. But this is what will make the difference. And they need to carry the load a little longer.
Can I just try this real quick?
Yes, Judge.
Because I know that we're talking about men, but we can't forget about the women and the young ladies. I mean, we have to go beyond the news and we have to look at media as a whole. There's a lot of reality TV where they condone quote-unquote ratchetness. And girls think it's appropriate to cut someone out, to fight these group fights to the point that we saw, some group of girls, they beat somebody viciously with a brick. I mean, it goes well beyond just the news and just men. It's affecting them as a whole, boys and girls. And I don't think we should forget our girls. I have a daughter that's out here, she said, Mom, don't say anything about me. But I'm always on. And she's tired of our quote-unquote lectures, but it's so important. We have to instill that in all of them. I mean, first of all, they have to realize that it's beautiful, they have to look at work. It's not about the physical look, it's about your brain. You need to go to school and learn, not to be just a perfect boy. No. But I think that we got to get a little old school like that, too, within our own homes. And I know you're looking at God.
Old school, that's what I'm saying. I was raised that you respect police officers, and you respect all your elders, you respect, I would never dare think about, you use a curse word at school? Are you kidding me? I mean, my parents, they instilled the fear of God in me. I didn't want anybody to go back to my parents and tell them we are a different person. You know, there was a time when elderly people on the blocks where we lived could do that, could report back to a child's parent what they did wrong and not be cursed out. Nowadays, we try to tell you what your kid did wrong, you might get slapped down and beat down. So we have a lot of issues that we have to deal with. I'm going to move on to the next question. I think this one is important too, and it's going to be interesting to see what your responses are for our panelists. Has there been a breakdown in the intergenerational link, guidance, discipline, outreach, etc., and how, if at all, has this contributed to the conditions we are seeing today? Pastor?
I'm a retired school district administrator, and I used to work not at 440, but at Reverend. But before we were always working towards the test, we used to have situations where we would take the young people out on field trips, and they would go to some of the nursing homes. We would take some of the, like the third to the fifth graders there and allow them to do their projects, where they would speak with some of the seniors. They would, talk about some of their history, where they came from, how they grew up, and then it kind of gives them a chance to see the tie-in and the value of going to see from generation to generation. Let them know what their issues and their struggle are. And a lot of times people think there's a disconnect between the seniors, but actually the seniors have a lot to teach on young people.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, we had something in common. I work down 440 North Broad Street for the Head Start program. My job down here is to engage families and parents. As a child growing up, I had not a clue who my dad is. But what my mother and my grandmother did, they put mentors in my life. So that missing that gap, that voidness, it was fulfilled. Yeah. And it did something to me and made me the man who I am today. Come on. And sometimes you do have to know your past so you can know your future. Right. And your future resides in your community. It resides in your family. And that's a strong point. To build stronger families that bring this tribe back to life. We have a tribe that is just this place that's walking around in the wilderness. And it's time to come back to what our promises that God gave us for our family. And when we get back to that promise point, and I'm so grateful that the churches and the ministries came out the walls last night. Right. They came out the walls and they restored that.
Speaking on the generational gap, my co-panelists and I may share a slight age difference. But walking around in my city, seeing the youth and the way they condone themselves, conduct themselves, not just in public places, but in private places, honestly, I feel disgraced. I mean, it's like there's no home training. It's like parents are no longer involved in disciplinary actions to the children. I'm currently out of school, but from time to time I'm working with me in school, speaking to the youth, and just seeing and listening to their faces sometimes, utter depression, just like a lack of hopeness, like a void place in itself, like there's something missing. And I can say that and like a mentorship and guidance like contribute to that, but I can see that there are a lot of people up here doing a lot of good, and I'm encouraged to keep reaching out to those out there so that they can find that missing piece that they need, and encouragement to not focus on the negative, but look towards the positive, not just focus on it, but creating it.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say one thing to that. Like I said, my great-grandmother was 3900 Ashland. That was on my dad's side. My mother's side is from the 12th district. A lot of kids now don't know both sides. They mostly relate to the mom side. And like the families keep talking about, with the fathers missing, they're missing that whole side of the family. They're missing that whole upbringing. But with that, I have roots down here, I have roots in the Southwest. So that's what made me the man I am today. So we got to try to get that back, where you know both sides of your family, where your fathers are active in your life, like we keep talking about. That's something that's really needed in this day.
Any other panelists want to make a comment about that? Mr. Murphy?
Generation to
generation, we need to have that connection. It's so true. When I'm a basic background as a young man, but I'm also kind of doing a double connection. You see, we're out of the Mayor's Commission on African American males. We have a men's group on the fourth Saturday of the month, one in Shoemaker, one out in King Session, and one at 33rd Diamond in Mantua. And it's just men talking. And we had a topic on the floor about generational incarceration. Strangely enough, we don't talk about generational incarceration. So imagine, and I know Dorothy can probably attest to this, imagine a grandfather on the cell block with a son on the cell block, his grandson on the cell block, and that's where they met each other. So when we talk about generational disconnect, and we talk about men, and I'm going to write to my sister too, is that we also have to look at the fastest growing population in prisons today are females. See, so when the young man said he looks at youth and he's disturbed, he's looking at that percentage of youth that exemplify the negative things that we've come to believe about ourselves. We have to change that view. Yes, I was educated to respect my elders, even to this day. And it doesn't matter if the elder is wrong, is two left shoes, I'm not saying a word. It's not going to do. And that's because I have not walked in the steps that he or she has. And since I have not done that, I have to respect what they bring to the table. We have to begin to teach our young people the same respect. And we have to teach it so that our young people also teach it out. So it's not just teaching it to your son and your daughter, it's having your son and your daughter teach it out to the friends that they come in contact with. Because after all, when we were young, where'd your friends come? To your house. Where'd you go? To their house. Now we don't go to each other's house. We go on the corners, we standing, we talking, we smoking, well, some of you smoking, but some of you drink. See, so then the breakdown again becomes in that family structure. We can build that back with knowledge of who we are.
Okay, I'm going to ask if each of the panelists would give us 3 top recommendations for solutions to violence, if that's possible. And I know that's hard. But one of the things that I find is that we in our communities, be that in Mantua or in Overbrook or in Germantown or wherever, we're pretty good at identifying what the problems are. Because we're seeing them, we're living it, we're seeing it. But the solution is the harder part, it seems. And then once we identify what we think are some possible solutions or some good solutions, it's making those solutions happen, putting them into practice. So if each panelist would be willing to give us 2 or 3 possible solutions or recommendations of what we can do to get us pull our communities back together and save these streets.
When volunteering and dealing with not only young people, but also sometimes I volunteer at Chester SEI. One of the things, the 3 things that I think of real quick are learning to listen. Because a lot of times we're always telling them what they need to do, but instead listening to learn their story and learn why they're going through what they're doing. And also to model. We need to learn how to model a different way of doing things because they know the wrong way, but a lot of times they don't see a model. And you know, a lot of times you see where they have clergy and a lot of scandals, but I try to model before them and let them know that's a small segment of clergy. It's not everybody. And so when we learn to model before them, they can see that there's a different way. And then the last piece is to love. They're going to say some things that, you may not agree with, but at the same time, if they know that you love them and that you're there for them and you don't have an agenda. When I went to Light Elementary and I volunteered there, I volunteered at elementary and middle school and high school. And little boy looked at me and he never had a father figure in his life. He said, "Why are you here? Are you here because of work release or because you had to do community service? Why are you here? Is there a reason why you're forced to be here? Or are you a perv or you like being around kids?" But I let them know I'm here because I love you and I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made.
I think it goes back to the basics too. It starts in the home, but the problem is that sometimes the homes are not the most healthiest. You know, the adults are not healthy, and we pass that on to our children who then become unhealthy. So I think at first, you know, we have to work on ourselves so that we can be healthy, we can love ourselves and have value and self-respect so that we can pass it on to our children. And I think, like Mr. Murphy said, then it can continue to go throughout the community to people that the children interact with. But again, I think civics is big. I didn't realize when I was in high school that civics was so important. I was like, But in retrospect, you learn so much. And when I go to these classes and talk to the kids, they have no idea about citizenship or voting. Nobody in my family goes like, it's not important. What is that all about? They don't know how the government is even structured. So you don't know where you can make changes, how to have your voice heard. It's so many things that are lacking. And I think bringing civics back is a huge part. And I just think that I also agree with you that when they know that you're there for the long term, you see a difference. You know, I know that the road is rocky sometimes, and if they know that you're there, even if they hit some roadblocks, that you're not going anywhere, you still love them, still respect them, and you're going to work through it together, you can really see that it makes a difference. I mean, not even, we know in adults, so you know with kids, you know with children. Because sometimes we have friends and we go through things, and to know that your best girlfriend is there, or your best guy friend, no matter what, it makes a difference.
Thanks, Judge. Thank you. Mr. Murphy, takeaway for?
Take it away. Okay. Respect is one. Because you ask for a part to solution. Learning to respect ourselves, learning to respect each other. Quick time watch question. How many of you walk down the street and never look a person in the face and walk down? You don't look them in the eye. You never get to say, hey, know how you feel. Then you might not get to how you feeling now, depending on how fast you walk, but how you doing. How many times do you miss the opportunity to say to a young lady, you look nice? And not for any particular reason other than the fact that she looks nice. Loving yourself helps you teach love. You're a minister. And as a minister, you try to be an example of love. So when you exemplify it, you can therefore give it. Love doesn't mean sex for the purpose of conversation. It doesn't. You see, when we talk about our young ladies, we have to teach them that they are the moral barometer of our people. You can measure where our people are by where our women are, not where the men are. We have a tendency to put men on a place where we are important. We're not anything without them. We got to teach the love. And then respect and love. Another thing is understanding your culture. Understanding the contributions that you made to the world. Before you were forcibly incarcerated, people call it slavery, and what you've done during and since. Then you can have a sense of worth in the world.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
One of the things that I think is a solution to violence is education. Education is really truly the key to ending violence on many different fronts. I just hope and understand that the system looks at the reading level of students in third grade. And if those students are reading on a kindergarten level in third grade, you can kind of predict where they'll be. Prisons are built based on those reading scores. I mean, the thing that's most disturbing is if you know that, why aren't you investing in education as opposed to prison?
Yes,
So that's a question for another day, but we understand that they're like hotels now, it's a priority. And so I think we need to encourage in our homes, in our schools, in our community centers, everywhere that there are children, encourage the importance of reading, the importance of education. They may not be getting everything that they need in school, but we didn't either. We got a lot of it at home. So even having homework circles at home and in the centers, you know, just constantly prioritizing education and sharing with children how important it is that they read and get that education. Because oftentimes they don't get it in school, they don't get encouraged. So we need to be those that encourage children on the importance of education. And mentor children, you know, around education and be a mentor to my solution. Violence is such a very complex issue with so many things that contribute to it, so it's hard to kind of pinpoint any one thing, but I think all of you have, you know, discussing this ways we can do something better in our community.
Just to add to some of the things that weren't I said, I keep talking about conflict resolution. When we really need to develop those skills in our children. You have your preschoolers, they get in a little argument, they lash out at somebody. Like it says in the Bible, violence begets violence. As simple as that. We need to teach our children how to handle disagreement. We just had a shooting in a bar, somebody stepped on somebody's skate. And you want to shoot somebody that stepped on the skate. That's because we do not know how to handle violence. I mean, how to handle conflict resolution. We get an argument escalates, and we don't know how to de-escalate. One of my favorite sayings is sometimes we have to agree to disagree. And as simple as that. That's what we really need to work on that. And another thing we do, because I've said it myself, man, I can't wait till I'm getting out the hood, I'm never coming back. Once I can make it, I'm never coming back. But guess what? You'll see me stand on the corner at 36 in the morning right now. I come back, I talk to the young kids all the time. Once you make it, like the judge said, a lot of kids never seen a judge. I didn't growing up. I didn't know one. I never seen a police inspector. I didn't know what that was. You never see that in your community. So when you make it, you become that doctor, that lawyer, that judge, whatever. Come back. Let the kids see you. Go to the school. So they can say, oh, I really can do it. I don't have to do what the local drug dealer does to have a nice car and dress nice. I can do it a different way. So just give back to your community in that way. It doesn't take much. It's just a small thing.
Tackling the issue of violence is a complicated thing. So if you take it back to its basics and just look at it in a different perspective, you need to enhance the quality of life. You need to have a greater appreciation for life. There's a strong mentality in the youth, and even in, I will say, the older adults, that it's just an I don't care attitude about some things. If it's not directly affecting me, then what should I care about it for? Each and every action that each and every single human being takes affects that person and every single person around you. When we start looking at each other as though just me, self-centeredness, and selfishness, and start taking into consideration that break down the barriers of race and discrimination, that every human being on the planet is trying to do the same thing all at one time. All of us trying to live, and we can understand that, help each other in that, make those connections, instead of looking at the differences. Then it would be a lot easier to maybe say, this person may be going through some of the same things I am, or maybe this person needs a picking up or a cheering today. Also, education is a big part of that, and that does start at home, but it's not just at home. I know me myself, and I'm pretty sure many of you have seen out and about in the day of people just making life difficult, but if not you, or if not you, someone close to you, or someone around you in the neighborhood, whether it be an adult, a child, adolescent, senior, just taking the time to just have the courage to stand up and say something. Hey, what are you doing? If your mother was around, or your father was around, or your friend was around, or someone you respected and looked up to around there, you hear a guy was around, they support this, they condone it.
Thank you.
That my grandmother used to say, you suffer from the violence, but the violence takes you by force. So it just jumped in my head, we have to be proactive and not reactive. We have to live by example. Education must be paramount. And you gotta meet people where they at. And you can't put conditions on us. I think this is some of the problems.
Now we're coming to the part in our presentation where we're opening up the floor. It's time for you all to say what's on your heart, ask questions of the panelists, and to keep our program moving. I'm also playing timekeeper in my own way, and I look at the clock until 11:39. And even though we started a little bit late, as we waited for more of our wonderful community people to be here, we want to still be mindful of the day and to try to still capsulize the best of what the vision for this program was to still go forth smoothly. So I see a hand already. Now, Pastor McNeil, do you want to have microphones back and forth, or I know some people can project well without a microphone. Okay. We're going to do that. But just before I get into our question and answer and have the community say what you want to say or ask the questions, real quick, the takeaways that I just heard from the panelists. Listen. We need to listen more to people from our community, in particular to our young people. We need to have models to show young people the right way to go. We need to love them. We all need to recognize that really good living, it does start in the home. And we recognize that there's homes where there's great things are missing, which make that very problematic. But wherever we can start it in our home, teaching our children the right way, and the right path, we need to do that. We need to have to work on ourselves and have values and self-respect. We've got to start with ourselves, talking about saving the community. How are we in our head, in our mind, our spirit? How are we handling ourselves? Civics classes are needed. I agree. We've got to get civics back. And if we can't convince the Philadelphia Public School District and the Catholic School District and the charter schools and the private schools and the Christian schools to do this, then we, as a community, need to start doing civics classes in facilities like this one. Right, Judge? No excuses. We got to do it. If we can't get it at the school, if for some reason the parents are missing the things to be able to teach at home, we got to teach civics to our young people in these recreation centers, community centers, churches, or wherever we can go. Again, it was repeated. We've got to exemplify love. It was repeated. We've got to exemplify respect. Also, young ladies are the moral barometers of our people. I believe that to be true. Understanding our culture, whatever the culture is, be proud of who you are. Claim your culture and be willing to have a bridge of understanding with other people's culture. Education is key to ending violence. Dorothy Speight said that. I think Mr. Murrie said it as well. Mentoring our children. That goes back to the modeling, role modeling, and showing children the right way. And conflict resolution. It's so important. And we have to teach younger people to learn how to agree to disagree with love and a loving spirit. So now, we're going to go to the audience. Our first question right here, and there's a gentleman over here who wants to say something, and then we'll take it from there. Okay. Go right ahead. If you think you need a mic, come up and get one. Otherwise, go for it.
My name is Timika from Transparency. One of my concerns is the outside entities that come in our neighborhood and create a problem that's already in operation. As far as drugs and the alcohol for our young people. I know that a lot of these delis are opening up bars in the deli, or in the zones. Or, it's just ridiculous if you do that. Like, I've been to stores on 54th and Lancaster, and I walked in the deli, they got bottles of Hennessy and wine and liquor, they got those styrofoam cups, you can buy the alcohol spot, take a shot, walk across the street, and get about that with cloud. I see that as an ongoing problem before coming across our youth, because if you're not old enough to get in the bar, they want to tell you a shot of alcohol. We already got a drug-infested problem in our neighborhood now. I wonder what can we do, what is being done about it. They foresee that as a problem, because I do.
Just chime in on your question, Denise. Believe it or not, it's legal for the delis to now sell shots.
Wow. Let me read it question. You're from the bottom, right?
What's that?
You're from the bottom, right?
Oh, yeah.
Remember Santa Martin, 34th and Water?
Right.
That's a bar we're getting now. So deli, let's go to the bar in the opposite end of the store. Like, that's crazy. It's not going to be a bar. So I'm wondering, why is it so legal for outside entities not want to make it a racial thing, and then what are they giving back? They create a problem. What are they giving back to help our youth? To help these adults that all we got is a problem.
Yeah, unfortunately, at some point, that law was, Ellen and I, the council people must have passed the law, because we have delis that now can sell shots.
So it must be open only, like last I remember.
I'm going to give Mr. Murphy a chance, but that is legal, but also from a police department perspective, we know about it. We enforce, like, certain stores that they're in residential neighborhoods, like the delis, the Chinese stores, they got closed at 11 o'clock, and that's 7
Well, maybe I'll just circulate 34 miles. I just got this fucking cat because we just agitate.
Okay.
Maybe I'll need to be more visible in 34 miles.
All right, because we enforce that at 11 o'clock. We try to do what we can. And another avenue that we approach that a lot of people don't know, we get more work out of closing businesses if they sell Lucy cigarettes. So let us know about that. Because we can get you closed quicker selling Lucy's than we can selling shots. Believe that.
Wow. I never found
The solution is trying to fix this problem. What we need to do is start focusing our attention on raising that minimum wage, and that will attract more people to go out to work and create more jobs. If we need training, education, employment, there's always going to be some jobs out here. I'm a limousine driver, and I drove for 12 years as a limousine driver. And as a limousine driver, I'm picking up all these CEOs code and take them to all the various airports, JFK, New York, etc. But Mr. Dorothy and Mr. Rosen, they own 40 Applebee's restaurants and a chain of restaurants. And they asked me, why are you applying for a job? That's because some of the people in the community have criminal records. And that would knock us right out the ballpark with these issues. So we need to start focusing on trying to fix this problem. And letting our folks know that there are places where they can come to get that problem fixed, like here, Drexel Northside Center. Drexel Northside Center, PDC. And there's places all over the city of Philadelphia. Well, we need to start taking advantage of these resources. That's number one. Then number two, we need to start getting involved. If you're a block captain, be an active block captain. If you're a committee man, be an active committee man. If you're a ward leader, be an active ward leader. We don't need people just to sit in these positions and do nothing. Like our elected officials. We need to replace these people. So once we deliver that, get out there and vote and get some of our cases out of there, then we can change city government and create some economic job opportunities. So we need to deliver these questions to these mayor candidates. What are you going to do to fix the school district of Philadelphia? When you have 300, I don't know how many police officers retired in December, but every year you're going to have police officers retired, prison guards, sheriffs, deputies, different people retire. We need to help folks with going after some of these jobs. A lot of people don't qualify for these jobs because they put so many different stipulations on to apply for the job. So the bottom line is, our closing argument is, folks need to get involved. That's number one. And then people need to start supporting their community and being a part of society and being more active. This Dorm State Center sitting right here. We can't even get our GED class filled up. There's about 3 kids in the GED program. And I guarantee you, everybody in this community don't have a high school diploma and GED. This GED class downstairs should be filled up. We had the best instructor here, Kevin Williams. We got the cream of the crop.
I hear what you're saying, and you struck so many notes with me, my brother, I don't even know where to start, but I'll just go with the GED thing. I was teaching GED classes for the Sutan Ogden Community Foundation in North Philly at 1646 Ridge Avenue 2 years ago. I did it for about 9 months. I was teaching reading and writing, and we were begging to get students in there. And at one point, we had up to 25, but they dropped down to about 7 before we completed the course, and it was not about the GED teachers. I was only one of them. But it wasn't about the GED teachers. It wasn't about the spirit of the room or the organization of the program where we were. It was the desire of the individual. Do you want it or don't you? And ultimately, it looked like about 12 of them didn't want it because they just dropped out. But next question, right here, and then we'll come back to you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
This is just a comment. And I'm an educator. And dealing with parents and kids, you know, a lot of things. One of the things that I do understand, we have to be non-judgmental. Non-judgmental of our parents, non-judgmental of our kids. Don't get me wrong, we come with our own stuff. They have their own stuff. But we don't meet them where they are and be able to, I'm just going to give an example. You have the alcoholic mother coming to school every day bringing their child. You smell the alcohol and the whole 9 yards. It's not for me. It's not my job to condemn or to judge her. My job is, hey mother, what do you need? Sometimes it even take as far as, don't be wrong, I'm sorry they took this out of the system, home with.
Yes.
See, I can knock on your door because you already know that I care. You already know that I'm non-judgmental. And even in our community, because I do live in a community, guess what? As a resident of the community, when I see somebody on my block that's sitting on a step, I approach the individual and say, how can I help you? Not only that, and when I hear the music and the boom, boom, bang, and this, that, and up, it's my responsibility to say, hey, this is a residential neighborhood. it's how we approach things, how we do things. Even in the Bible, even you got to love on people and be non-judgmental. And not only that, when you talk about my self-esteem is already low. I already know that I can't read, and I already know that I can't write. I already know about my skills, and I got life happening to me every single day. Guess what? And my mind don't even be there in the GED program because life is happening to me. And because life is happening to me, I give up. I already got kids. I already got problems. I already got difficulties. Guess what? So I give up on me. It's not that I don't want to. I don't have a mindset. There's some people, there's some churches, you gotta take people by the hand. Each one reach one. Right. Each one teach one. Yes. Baby, I know you what I'm going to do. Let's take over my house today. And I'm going to tell you some things you need to do. I'm not going to embarrass you. I'm not going to shame you. Guess what? Because I already know how you feel. And we don't see in the eyes of people how they feel and what they're going through. And so we tell you, this is what you need to do, this is how you need to do. And I don't even understand. Life has happened to you. And we don't look at those factors when we're dealing with people. We don't look at those factors when we're dealing with the kids. We don't look at those factors when we're dealing with the violence. Life has happened. And we don't help people go through the happenings in life.
Miss Alicia, if I had a Xerox machine right now, I would lay you up on it. And I would run off about 10,000 copies of you. Because you are the spirit that I think embodies what we're really talking about today. We got to stand up and say, can I help you? What's going on with you? We really have got to be more sensitized. What you just said, all of what you just said, ditto, ditto, ditto. I absolutely agree. And I just wish and hope and pray that there are more of you right here in this room and outside of this room who are at other events right now doing good work, trying to be connected with the community, trying to see where we can, how we can, and when we can make a difference. Gentlemen in the back of the room. Okay. You are next, sir. Then you, lady, but our panelists.
I'm going to just say this real quick because I once again got reacquainted with her out on the sidewalk. I grew up in Mantua. You know, when folks hear the bottom, they think the bottom is a negative term. We didn't think of it as a negative term. Right. So let's get that clear. Because some people think it's the bottom because it's like we're all the scum and everything. No, that's not why it's called the bottom. And because of that, we had a culture down here that, when you talk about neighborhoods, and what's happened with neighborhood is we have the hood because we took the neighbor out of it. If somebody new moved onto the block, we knocked on their door and said hello and got to know about it. We had cousins and aunts and uncles that weren't related to us. If you know what I'm saying. When I was young and I was sickly because I was a twin and I had an older brother separated by 26 minutes. My mother didn't expect 2 children, she had 2. So with that, I had a lot of illnesses that came along with that. But I had a woman that lived around the corner on Spring Garden Street. Her name was Mom Rosa. And Mom Rosa, when I was sick and I couldn't go to school, I stayed on Mom Rosa's couch. Mom Rosa was almost blind. But come on, but she had on TV, Days of Our Lives. And I laid on her couch. While, I could have been in school, and she didn't charge my mother a dime. Come on, make sure that they were in a safe place until school was over and then somebody else would pick me up or my mom got off the job. These are the things that we used to do to keep the community intact. So like if somebody around the corner decided to steal your pocketbook, it was just the dumbest thing because everybody knew who you were. So why would you steal a pocketbook and be like, come on, Pinky, really? Where you gonna go? So therefore, when we understand what that is, when we have that community, as we have that in the neighborhoods, when we have neighborhoods, instead of somebody moves in today, you don't even ask who they are. You worried about if they're going to take your parking space. Is that right? So we need to what you said, be non-judgmental, to be helpful and strengthened, and from that, Because when she met me today, she didn't know me as Pastor Knox. She said, Joey. And I got all embarrassed because she knew me from being a child. Okay, so that's how it is in the Bible.
All right.